Hello, welcome back to the channel. So let's do one more question on area between curves. And in this question also, we'll use the previous concepts, the concepts that we learned in the previous video. We'll apply those concepts in order to solve this question as well. So before solving this question, I would highly suggest you to watch those videos if you have not watched those videos, which you can always find on the I button above. So now let's solve this question. So in this question, we have to again find the area of the finite plane region bounded by y square equals 4ax and x square equals 4ay where a is greater than 0. And we also have a basic understanding of these parabolas. These are standard parabolic equations. So this y square equals 4ax is a parabola like this and x square equals 4ay is a parabola like this, right? And you would have also most likely come across these type of standard parabolic equations in your previous math courses. So again, in order to solve these type of questions, we'll follow the same approach we followed in our previous videos. We know that our first step is to calculate the intersection point of both of these curves. So the first equation is y square equals 4ax and the other equation is x square equals 4ay. So if I calculate y in terms of x in this case, I can substitute my y into this equation in order to find the intersection points, right? In order to find the intersection points, we basically equate the y values or we basically equate the x values in order to find the y or x intersection points in this case, right? The same process we have been doing in the previous videos as well. So our y is equal to x square upon 4a in this case. So if I substitute this y back into this equation, we would have x square upon 4a whole square equals 4ax. So over here you'll have x to the power 4 upon 16a square, and over here you would have 4ax, right? So now what I can do is I can take this 4a over to this side in order to solve for my x intersection points, right? So that I have my right hand side equal to 0. So it would be x to the power 4 upon 16a square minus 4ax equals 0, right? I'll take the x common, so it would be x cube upon 16a square minus 4a equals 0, right? So now either my x is equal to 0 or x cube upon 16a square minus 4a equals 0. Solving this, I would have x cube upon 16a square equals 4a. With this, I would have x cube equals 64a cube, and I can clearly see that 64 is 4 cube, so my x in this case would be 4a over here, right? Because if I take 4a cube, I'll get 64a cube, right? So now we have our intersection points. Our two intersection points are x equals 0 and x equals 4a. And when you'll calculate the y intersection points, you'll get the same y intersection points as well. So now we have identified our intersection points. Now we have to sketch the graph of both of these functions and identify the area that we have to calculate in this region. And then again identify if we have to take vertical strips or if we have to take horizontal strips in order to calculate the area between both of these parabolic curves. So now when you'll sketch the graph of these functions, you'll see that this is your x square equals 4ay and this is your y square equals 4ax, and you'll have the intersection point at x equals 0 and x equals 4a in this case, right? So now the area that we are concerned with is this area, as you would clearly notice in this case as well, that if you want to calculate the area between both of these curves, it would be this area. And now based on this area, we'll first see if it's easier to take horizontal strips or if it's easier to take vertical strips. And you'll clearly realize in this case that in this case specifically, it does not matter. You can easily take vertical strips because you can easily represent this equation in terms of y and this equation in terms of y as well, right? This can become y equals root 4ax and this would become y equals x square upon 4a, right? And since we are already familiar with the integral of a square root function and a square function, it would be very easy for us to calculate the definite integral if we take vertical strips. On the other hand, if you take horizontal strips, we know that if we take horizontal strips, we have to easily represent both of our equations in terms of x, right? And this equation can easily be turned to x. So it can become x equals y square upon 4a. This can become x equals root 4ay. So the same case again, it's easier for us to calculate the square root and the square integrals. So it doesn't matter in this case whether you take horizontal strips or if you take vertical strips. So we'll solve this question using vertical strips, but I would highly suggest you to comment down in this video below what would be the definite integral when you'll take horizontal strips instead of the vertical strips in this case. So now let's solve this question. And based on this sketch, we can clearly see that our y square equals 4ax, which is this, is always above x square equals 4ay, right? So now when I have to calculate the height of my vertical strip, it would be this y value minus this y value, right? Because I have to calculate the height of my vertical strip, and I'm taking my vertical strips from x equals the left endpoint to x equals the right endpoint in this case. So let's first write the y values in both of these cases. So since this is our arbitrary vertical strip, this y value will be based on y square equals 4ax, and this y value will be based on x square equals 4ay in this case, right? So now we know that this y value is based on y square equals 4ax. So if I write y in terms of x in this case, this would be y equals root 4ax, right? If I have to calculate the y value in this case, it would be based on this equation. So if I take the square root on both sides, it would be y equals root 4ax, right? And similarly in this case, since this is our lower y value, if I have to calculate the lower y value, again by using the same approach, this is based on x square equals 4ay. So this y value would be equal to x square upon 4a in this case, right? So now we have identified our y values. Let's identify the height of our vertical strip now in this case. So the height of the vertical strip, as you can clearly see, would be root 4ax minus x square upon 4a in this case, right? And now since we are taking vertical strips, we know that our vertical strips have infinitesimally small width, and the width in this case is dx. So in order to take the definite integral, we'll write root 4ax minus x square upon 4a, and this will be multiplied to dx, right? Because in this case we're calculating the area of our vertical strip and integrating our vertical strips all the way from our left endpoint to the right endpoint. So the area of this rectangle would be base times height. The height which we already calculated is this. The base in this case is dx because it's our infinitesimally small width vertical strip. So now we have this area representation. The only thing that is left is our endpoints, and since in this case we are varying our x, so our x varies from x equals 0 to x equals 4a, right? In this case. So the endpoints would be x equals 0 to x equals 4a in this case. And this is your final answer. If you have to represent the answer in a definite integral form only, this is the final answer. But you can clearly notice in this case that you can easily solve this definite integral in order to calculate the final answer or the final actual area between both of these curves in this case. So that's it for this video. We'll do a couple more examples on the concept of area between the curves in order to get the full idea about the concept that we are dealing with. So stay tuned for that as well. Feel free to comment down in this video if you have any doubts. Also, feel free to comment down the answer of the definite integral which you will get when you'll take horizontal strips instead of the vertical strips. And if you want a hint for that, you'll see that if you are taking the horizontal strip, you are varying your y value in the same way as you were varying the x value. So the y value, if you take horizontal strips, will start from y equals 0 all the way to y equals 4a in this case, the same way as your x values were, x equals 0 to x equals 4a. So feel free to comment your answer below. Follow the channel in order to get notified about the other videos that I'll be uploading. Stay tuned. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye. Take care.